Hey guys, hope you're all having a great day. So in today's video, I'm actually not at my house, I'm at my boyfriend's house. And if you saw a short on Instagram, maybe about a week ago, I started by working on a little bit in his yard because we have a graduation party coming up and we're gonna do some sprucing up of the yard. But today we're gonna be working on quite a bit more. So I have some really exciting plants that we're gonna be putting in. Okay, so let's take a quick rundown of all we're gonna be planting today. I have a few shrubs, some perennials, and one annual for today. First thing is going to be this Gold Coast English holly. This is a gorgeous variegated holly, and the new growth actually has a little bit of purplish burgundy. One of my favorite plants that I've noticed recently, and also super easy to care for. That's the biggest thing we're doing today, is really easy to care for plants. Next to it is a Monlow 9-bark. This is one of the larger growing 9-barks. I know there's a lot of compact varieties, but this one will get quite large. But that's okay, because we want it to take up a lot of space. In front of it, I have a classic Supertunia Vista bubblegum, so it's the only annual that we have for today. And then besides that, moving on to perennials, there's 3 of these heucheras here. They're called Magma, also known by the name as coral bells. So we have 3 of these here. Right behind it is a type of yarrow called Moonshine, and then we also have a phenomenal lavender right here. And this is going to be one of the larger growing lavenders. Besides that, we have 3 different products that I'm going to be using today. We're going to be getting rid of some grass in areas. So we have some mulch here, just regular black mulch. Also to amend the soil, we have this black cow manure, just because there could be some areas where the soil isn't all that great. And then finally, just some biotone starter fertilizer just to help these get started. Totally not necessary, but I'm just going to end up using up the rest of this bag. So that was just a quick rundown of these plants. I'll go over all the details of how big each one of them gets, if there is any maintenance with them. But for now, let's just get these in the ground and I'll show you where they go at the end. So let's get started. Okay, so we are all done for today. This is the first area that we worked in. So we put this Diablo 9 bark in the ground. Again, this is gonna get about 8 to 10 feet tall and wide in the end. Really doesn't need any pruning. This one isn't going to bloom this year, but next year it definitely will. And it'll have beautiful white flowers on it and kind of these cascading canes that come down. In front of it are these two hollies. These generally will get 6 feet tall, 6 feet wide. These are hardy in zones 6 through 9. I did space them all apart so that way they would be almost touching at their mature size. So it looks like everything is spaced out quite a bit, but it's just to allow room as they grow in the future. It's gonna take some time for them to get to that size. This is a fast grower. These two are a little bit more slower growing. The other thing too about this bed is we kind of shaped this and mulched it all today. However, we're gonna extend this bed out. It was a lot of work to get rid of this grass today. So eventually this bed will kind of come out here and then it'll round off by the fence. So we'll add in a few more shrubs or perennials, just other pretty looking stuff over here. And then we won't really add too much more around here, but maybe another couple of plants in here to fill in. And this plant, if you want to check out my reel where I did put this in the ground, this is a Limelight Prime hydrangea. I think it's hardy in zones 3 through 9, maybe 4 through 8. I can't remember exactly which ones. This is going to grow about maybe 4 to 6 feet tall and wide, so it'll fill out this space. And we will have to make these beds come out a little bit larger as they grow, but they're totally fine for now. These plants will grow this year, but they're not going to grow a whole heck of a lot. Okay, so this area in the mailbox, as you may have seen when we started working on this, there actually were 2 hostas right on either side over here. However, this spot gets pretty much full sun all day long, and it was very sandy and salty here because of the winter time when we get snow. So I wanted to choose plants that can first of all tolerate full sun, and second of all tolerate more of that salt and sandy conditions. So I have 2 yarrow plants right here, the moonshine yarrow, and I actually have the tags this time for the sizes. These get 18 to 24 inches tall, 12 to 15 inches wide, so not too big, but they'll be a perfect size for this. And then right here is that lavender, which this phenomenal lavender will get 24 to 32 inches tall and then 24 to 32 inches wide. So this will end up getting bigger than the yarrow, even though it looks a little bit smaller, but I think this will be a nice pairing. This bed may eventually have to get a little bit larger as these plants thicken up, but they're great for here. One thing I wanted to mention about this lavender is at the garden center I worked at, I planted lavender by the road, kind of same conditions, really crappy soil, lots of sand and salt in the winter, and that lavender came back very well as compared to the other plants. So I think lavender is one of those plants that's good to put by a road where you get those conditions, and yarrow I would say is the same thing, because yarrow doesn't want really good soil. We didn't actually fertilize any of these plants, and they definitely contrast nicely with each other. Right here on this corner, I planted the Supertunia Vista bubblegum. This is gonna grow quite a bit in one season, but again, this is the one annual that we have, so it will not come back after this year. It'll just be a nice accent annual, and it's probably gonna start cascading over here by the end of the summer because these are very vigorous growers. So love this plant, and I think it'll do perfect in this spot. So this back area over here, as you may have seen from that reel, I did cut back this butterfly bush, which we'll see how this does because it is kind of shady over here, but it looked like it grew pretty well in past years. So I'm gonna leave that there for now. We got 3 of these coral bells or heuchera, the magma coral bells. These ended up getting 12 to 24 inches tall, 18 to 24 inches wide. And then these are the 2 hostas that were in front of the mailbox. If I wanna take a guess, they're probably a Patriot hosta. They were doing okay so far, but it's not even June yet. So I think them being here, they're not gonna burn, and they were looking a little bleached out. So I think they'll develop a little bit more of a deeper green being back over here. We'll probably expand this bed a little bit longer too, but I think for now, this just gives it a nice cleaned up look. So that's all I have for you in this video today. We're just kind of getting started with adding some stuff over here, but I'm sure as time goes on, we're definitely going to add some more things. We're going to expand these beds and make it look a lot prettier. But we have that graduation party coming up, so we wanted to do some sprucing up of the yard, and I think that these are really great plants for the areas that they're in, and they're definitely going to fill in nicely. So besides that, I hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you in the next one.